Young Turks now has audio, the TYT Audio Network, podcasts of some of your favorite shows and new shows, including one with Nina Turner, former Ohio State Senator. She's going to do We the People with Nina Turner, talking about equality and justice and seeing that through the eyes of regular Americans who are affected by politics and policy. Everybody check it out at tyt.com/audio.
Harley Davidson, the iconic motorcycle manufacturer, has decided to ship some of its jobs to the European Union following retaliatory tariffs imposed by the EU in response to Donald Trump's tariffs. So it turns out a trade war, maybe not so good for the US economy? Maybe antagonizing our allies is a bad idea?
I hope Seth MacFarlane's watching.
I love him. So Harley Davidson said that it would shift some production of its iconic bikes overseas to avoid retaliatory tariffs imposed by the EU in response to President Trump's trade moves. Now, European tariffs on its motorcycles had increased to 31% from 6%, and estimated that would add about $2,200 on average to every motorcycle exported from the United States to the bloc.
That's not right. I owned a Harley, and I know how much, and I own the cheapest Harley, by the way.
Oh, did you own a Harley?
I did at one point.
Were you a bad boy?
I was actually, I'm not anymore. And I own the cheap one, by the way. A lot of them are $15,000, $20,000. That math doesn't even work out.
How did you go from a Harley to a scooter?
I like all sorts of motorcycles.
Oh, get it, okay.
Anyway, that's not the important part of the story.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's gonna cost more than $2,200 additional on average.
Sure, look, the point of the story is
for Harley,
which was pretty supportive of the Trump administration, while Trump was running, has now decided, apparently this guy's really bad for our business, so we're gonna ship some jobs overseas. Now, Trump also seemed to have a lot of love for the company, and I want to share a video from February 2nd, 2017, where he spreads the love to Harley Davidson. Take a look.
Thank you, Harley Davidson, for building things in America. I think you're gonna even expand. I know your business is now doing very well, and there's a lot of spirit right now in the country that you weren't having so much in the last number of months that you have right now. You see what's happening. We want to make it easier for businesses to create more jobs and more factories in the United States. And you're a great example of it. That means we have to make America the best country on earth to do business, and that's what we're in the process of doing. In the 1980s, and I remember this, you were victims of trading abuse, big trading abuse, where they were dumping all sorts of competitors all over the place. And Ronald Reagan stepped in and he put on large tariffs, and you wouldn't be talking about Harley Davidson probably right now if he didn't do that. But we're going to help you too, and we're going to make it really great for business, not just you, but for everybody.
You know who's not good for business? Donald Trump, a man who went bankrupt 6 separate times before being elected as president of the United States. He was partially elected because part of our electorate believed that he was a smart businessman. A smart businessman doesn't go bankrupt 6 times. A smart businessman understands the nuances of the very policies that he's pushing for. He is not a smart man. He is not a sophisticated thinker. It is not elitist to argue that. He's just not. He's not. He didn't think about the consequences or the ramifications of what he's doing. And ironically, this trade war is gonna hurt his supporters the most. We're talking about soybean farmers, we're talking about manufacturers, we're talking about companies that were pretty openly supportive of Trump, and now he's basically giving you a middle finger in the form of incompetent trade policy.
I don't know. I think that yes, Harley Davidson will be hurt. All of the hippies that work for Harley Davidson will be out of a job, maybe. No, of course, this is stupid. Like, so they had a you raised all these tariffs on the EU. They're going to do the same thing. They chose to do that, and so Harley Davidson was going to be left with a choice between selling significantly less motorcycles abroad because they'd be thousands of dollars more and even less cost competitive against EU manufactured motorcycles, of which there are a number of amazing brands that are generally already far cheaper than Harley Davidson's, or shocker, they've got factories over there, they can just make more of them there, which is going to hurt not just the workers who would be manufacturing, who would be assembling them here in the US, but if they're gonna be sourcing more parts abroad, that could hurt any number of other related industries if you produce those sorts of things. It's so short-sighted and so obvious at the same time. Did you see his tweet about this a little bit later on the day?
I did not.
Okay, so I have it here just in case. So he tweeted this about an hour ago. Surprised that Harley Davidson, of all companies, would be the first to wave the capital white flag. I fought hard for them, and ultimately they will not pay tariffs selling into the EU, which has hurt us badly on trade, down 151 billion. Do a fact check on that. Tax is just a Harley excuse. Be patient, MAGA. You didn't fight hard for them. You made it harder for them to sell their motorcycles abroad. Because here's the thing, Harley traditionally is, it's the most iconic American motorcycle manufacturer. It's got some competitors like Victory and stuff like that, but they were the big one. And they have sold as many motorcycles as they can in the US. There's only so much of a market here. What they want to do is they want to expand abroad. They want Chinese people to buy Harley Davidsons because there's a lot of them. They want the EU, they want to sell them in India. And you are making it way more difficult for them to actually do that when you make them so much less cost competitive against those domestic international competitors.
Absolutely, and Europe is the second largest market for Harley Davidson. So they are legitimately concerned about how these tariffs are going to impact them. And so it makes all the sense in the world that they would react this way. It makes all the sense in the world that our allies would react the way they have to Trump's tariffs. They were not well thought out. They just weren't. And again, I'm not gonna sit here and say tariffs are unacceptable under any circumstances. No, I know that the situation is a lot more complex than that. But I'm not president of the United States and I understand that. Most people are not president of the United States and never will be, and they understand that. The president of the United States doesn't understand that. In his world, everything is black or white, okay? And in order to sell these tariffs, he has lied to us about trade deficits. He has made up numbers, and a lot of those numbers have gone unchecked. And it's frustrating because the people who lose in the end are the American people. Those who do create American manufacturing jobs, those who are employed in those jobs, farmers who grow soybeans, oranges, all these different industries, all these different farmers are gonna be negatively impacted by this man who doesn't have enough brain cells to think logically about how his policies negatively impact people.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.